आज के क्लास में जो हमने इम्पोर्टेंट जिक्र किया है वो जिक्र किया है फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन के बारे में, राइट। और फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन को हमने ऐसे देखा है कि फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन जो है ये बिगिनिंग ऑफ द न्यू वर्ल्ड था, राइट। और जो हिस्ट्री ऑफ फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन है उसकी क्या लीगेसी है, राइट। जो 14 जुलाई 1789 का क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है, राइट। और फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन इज ए सिंबल ऑफ destruction of the tyranny of democracy, destruction of the monarchy, destruction of the unequal system of ruling the government, right? Destruction of the very feudalistic way of the government, right? And we also talked about the legacy of the French Revolution, because the legacy of French Revolution is not found in physical monuments, but the ideals of democracy, but in the ideal of justice, equality, fraternity. And these ideas still inspire whole the modern democracies, right? And we have just compared between American Revolution that was held in 1776 and French Revolution of 1789, right? And French Revolution was more significant than that of the American Revolution, because French Revolution also talked about the very idea of liberation of all the human civilization, right? And the kind of principles, that is liberty, fraternity, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And how these ideas are even contemporary time more relevant, right? I have just mentioned the French Declaration of Rights of Man, which spelled out the rights that comprise liberty and equality and outlined a system of participatory government, right? And this is the system of participatory democratic government, which is known as a democracy. Democracy, empowers citizens to protect their own rights, right? So these are the very important, crucial, conceptions we can draw from the French Revolution, right? And French Revolution, how French Revolution is related to the emergence of the sociology. I have just mentioned, like French Revolution, all the founder member of sociologists, right? Like Auguste Comte, like Emile Durkheim, was born in the shadow of French Revolution, right? So today we are going to talk about the French Revolution and the rise of sociology of the France, right? So in last class we talked about some of the very important basic concept like social group, right? The concept of social group, how this is the nucleus concept of sociological, speculation, right? And the very construction of social in modern sense, or the very construction of democracy in modern sense, comes from the idea of French Revolution, right? जैसे अभी आप जो पहले की दुनिया थी, अभी मैंने एग्जांपल देके बताया था, जो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन से पहले की थियोक्रेसी थी और बाद में डेमोक्रेसी का जो आइडिया है, ये जो शिफ्ट हुआ सोसाइटी में, ये शिफ्ट इंस्टीट्यूशनल शिफ्ट भी था, ये एक ह्यूमन नेचर का भी शिफ्ट था, ये एक मोरल फिलॉसफी का भी शिफ्ट था, ये एक सोशियोलॉजिकल थिंकिंग का भी जो है शिफ्ट है, राइट? 17th सेंचुरी और 18th सेंचुरी की घटनाओं को हम और भी ज्यादा देखेंगे। ये घटनाएं, एक जो इम्पोर्टेंट आइडिया है फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का, वो ये है कि सेकुलरिज्म का आइडिया है। सेकुलरिज्म का मतलब एक डिटैचमेंट ऑफ स्टेट फ्रॉम द चर्च, राइट। जब रिलीजन और पॉलिटिक्स के बीच में सेपरेशन आया, राइट, पहले जो था थियोक्रेसी में रिलीजन भी वही काम करता था जो पॉलिटिक्स करता था। इन अदर वर्ड्स, रिलीजन ही जो ऑल सोर्स ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स था, पादरी जो है वो रूल करता था। लेकिन जो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन के बाद की दुनिया है, वो हम आज भी बोलते हैं ना, आई एम सेकुलर। आई एम सेकुलर मीन्स my belief system is based on my religion, but my political consciousness, it does not correspond with my religious consciousness, right? इसीलिए sometimes you can feel a kind of paradox, right? Suppose somebody asks me about reservation or caste system, right? Religion will tell you, okay, practice caste system, but Constitution of India does not allow you to practice caste system, right? So there is this conflict between what religion preaches you and what Constitution educates you, right? So again, if you read the preamble of the Constitution, we are secular. Secular means we have a scientific temper. Scientific temper means we have a rational regional analysis power, right? So this idea came from French Revolution, right? So the churches as a separate social organization, right? ये जो बिलीफ है, ये हम फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन से हमें मिला, राइट? और हमने इन्फ्लुएंस अगर हम देखें फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का, तो द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन अपॉन द फाउंडेशन ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी इन फ्रांस, इन फैक्ट, which has received some of the very less attention, but it is very influential, right? Its significance is very significant, right? And particularly the social theory, right? Because social theory, the first and the foremost question of social theory is social order. Sociology was basically concerned with the question of social order, right? Social order कैसे maintain होता है, social order कैसे sustain होता है, और social order कैसे attain होता है। और ये जो तीन इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है, इस क्वेश्चन का हिस्टोरिकल इंसिडेंट ये है कि फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन ने सोशल रप्चर पैदा किया। सोशल रप्चर का मतलब एक काइंड ऑफ डिसऑर्गेनाइजेशन, राइट? पहले हमारा सारा का सारा जो सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशंस है, वो एक चर्च से, एक रिलीजन से डिफाइंड और डिटरमाइन होता था। लेकिन जब हम रिलीजन को एक अलग सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाए और पॉलिटिक्स को एक अलग सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाए, स्टेट को एक अलग सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन बनाए, तो हमने एक काइंड ऑफ अचानक से जो ये रप्चर पैदा हुआ, एक काइंड ऑफ डिसऑर्गेनाइजेशन पैदा हुआ, इम्बैलेंस पैदा हुआ, इससे सोशल ऑर्डर क्वेश्चन हुआ, राइट? और इसी सोशल ऑर्डर के क्वेश्चन के साथ सोशियोलॉजी की शुरुआत हुई। सोशियोलॉजी की शुरुआत ही हुई कि सोशल हार्मनी कैसे बने, सोशल ऑर्डर कैसे बने, राइट? तो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का एक डायरेक्ट सिग्निफिकेंस हम देखते हैं इमर्जेंस ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी के ऊपर, राइट? Indeed, if you say the late 1964, we find Lepley, citing revolution as a principal source of those difficulties to which his monumental work were advanced, right? And in the work of such earlier men like Auguste Comte, like Bonald, effect of a revolution are so manifest, right? We can see the impact of the French Revolution on founders sociologist work, right? So when we discuss about the work of sociologist, then I will relate how his work is influenced by the very idea of French Revolution. right? And we can find the influence of French Revolution on their sociological writings as well, right? So to suggest a merely that the pointers of systematic sociology were affected by this event at great extent, right? So the history of any social science is less an affair of a biographical facts strung loosely together by the thread of a chronological, that in the inquiry of the rise and the development of the central concept of the discipline. So what is important here is to show the relationship between the revolution and the emergence of those concepts, right? Which were from the outset of this discipline. And this is a very subject matter of sociology as well. So what we are interested in is how the central core of sociology, in contrast to those elements which were merely peripheral, that was held in the common with the social science, right? So if you can draw the line of the history, like economics, right? Economics existed before French Revolution. Politics existed before French Revolution. But sociology came into existence only after the French Revolution, because the very fundamental question, that is the question of social order, is the origin question, I would say, right? And this French Revolution gave a kind of inquiry, a kind of intellectual conditions as well, which led to the concept of the emergence of the sociology, right? If we talk about some of the important ideas of 17th or 18th century, uh, particularly I have just mentioned the idea of enlightenment. So I think are you familiar with the concept of enlightenment? Enlightenment हम किसको बोलते हैं पता है? एक्चुअली वेस्टर्न हिस्ट्री जो है वो एक इनलाइटमेंट की घटना. इनलाइटमेंट का मतलब होता है, जैसे आपको पता होगा कि जो यूरोपियन मिडिएवल हिस्ट्री है उसको हम डार्क एज के नाम से जानते हैं, राइट? एक ऐसा एज जहाँ पे बिलीफ सिस्टम, रिलीजियस डॉगमेटिज्म का बोलबाला था, राइट? इनलाइटमेंट एक तरह का थिंकिंग लेके आया जब इंसान ने साइंस की प्रेमेसी के साथ दुनिया को जीना शुरू किया, राइट? सो इन वेस्टर्न ट्रेडिशन, enlightenment actually refers to the process of becoming rational, the process of becoming rational in thought, the process of becoming rational in action, right? So it can be individual or societal wide also, right? Individual भी enlightened हुआ. enlightenment मतलब thinking, primacy of scientific thinking. Descartes says, I think therefore I am. My whole existence is because I can think. I am able to think, right? So the primacy of region over religion. So this is the whole, juncture, whole crux of enlightenment, right? And this knowledge, scientific knowledge, enlightens you as well. It tells you about the dark conception of belief, dogmatism, right? So either way, region is figured as a light. We say enlightenment, right? Enlightenment means region is figured as a light that illuminates the understanding and dispels the darkness of ignorance, darkness of superstitions, darkness of injustice as well. We used to practice sati. People love to see like somebody is, dying in front of their eyes. Because of their religious consciousness, they think this is the right way to die because her husband died. So she has to die. So this is, I can give many examples of injustices. You will shock to know, right? The brutal violence against the slaves, rapes, molestations, sexual violations, right? So and so forth. So this age, this conception of injustice can be explained through the very conception of dark age. So religion is figured as a light that illuminates the understanding and dispels the darkness of ignorance and superstitions. So enlightenment, thou conceived two sides. One positive side, it entails the empowering discovery of well-founded knowledge, scientific knowledge. Critically, it is movement towards demystification, skeptical towards anything that is given to adequate account of itself before the bar of reason, before the bar of experience, right? So I can give a whole a separate lecture on enlightenment, but this enlightenment influenced the very idea of the emergence of sociology, because sociology thinks like nobody can stop the idea whose time has come, right? So this idea called idea of justice, idea of fraternity, idea of liberty came because of a historical condition, and this historical condition is known as French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, and Enlightenment. In next lecture, we are going to talk about more in detail analysis of what are the social cultural consequences of French Revolution, right? And what are the approach of the study of French Revolution in as far as the development of sociology is concerned. And I'm going to talk about Alan Davis' articles, the origin of the French Revolution and the present. And before that, I would like you to please read and watch the documentary on French Revolution. Then you are able to grasp, more sociological insights as well. So I think we should wind up today.